everybody, this is Diane. Welcome back to Biters.
And this is Marnell. And I think everybody needs to welcome Diane to the dark side.
You are interrupting my Game of Thrones binge.
It only took you like 10 years to get into it.
Right. Well, it took me a long time to get over the rapey stuff.
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, not that dragons are historically accurate, but it really wouldn't be historically accurate if there weren't some extra violence and some rapey stuff.
It's interesting that you bring that up because I was reading today that the books are actually loosely based on the history around the War of the Roses.
Ah, well, there you go.
So I thought that was a really interesting little historical tidbit.
Yeah, tyrannical men weren't that great back then. You know?
They're still not that great.
I was going to say, they're not that great. And honestly, I don't think they're less rapey. They're just less public about it.
Or maybe it's less condoned.
Yeah, there we go. That's funny. So, yeah, you're on season 2 in like less than 48 hours.
Yeah, I've been pretty bad. I have not used my holiday weekend well, let's put it that way. I did manage to clean out my closet, and I did manage to do a little bit of laundry, but that's about it.
Oh, I walked the dogs to the glacier in the back. It's like 7 a.m., so...
Good for you.
Yeah.
It rained on Saturday and Sunday, so today was kind of a halfway nice day. We did go out and brush the horses.
Oh, it's been beautiful here all weekend.
I saw pictures. It looks like it's been lovely there.
Yeah, actually, Southeast Alaska is kind of in a drought right now, and Haines has wildfires. So, Yeah. And this is a big camping weekend for everybody, so everyone's like, maintain your campfires. Don't set off fireworks. You're going to burn down the rainforest.
It did not break my heart to have it rain for a couple of days over the holiday weekend because it kept the traffic out here down quite a bit.
Well, and Southeast Alaska relies a lot on our dams for our electricity. So being in a drought is really not good all around.
Right.
Yeah. So you're going to go out and do a rain dance later.
So you're kind of having your own Black Summer.
I am, yes.
That was a good segue, huh?
It was.
So, spoiler alert ahead. We're going to talk about the last episode of the first season of Black Summer. So, if you don't want spoilers for the whole season, stop now, go watch, and come back.
Yeah, because we're probably going to talk about the whole dang season, because the whole season is less than 4 hours long.
You know, I saw that. I could not believe it. So, the last episode was 20 minutes long.
So if you don't count the credits, it's 17 minutes long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Designed for binging.
It ends at 17:21. And the opening credits, when you skip them, it skips like 20 seconds. So 17 minutes.
Totally designed for binging.
I know. Like Avengers Endgame was about as long.
I know. I actually read an article today that said, you know, basically you're watching an hour more of television than you would if you were sitting in the Avengers Endgame movie.
Right? Yeah. So, I think this got a lot of compliments for it being so short, like you could binge it in a day. There's
a lot of positive fan feedback about that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot of television out there that is, like 30 minutes long. The Big Bang Theory was our kind of half-hour show, and now, of course, Young Sheldon. But our other sister got us into a show that's been on the air for a while. It's called Raising Hope, and it's another half-an-hour comedy. But, half an hour not comedies are very rare.
Yes, they are. They're very rare.
So, what did you think?
Season 1, episode 8, The Stadium. I gave it 4.9 out of 5 shotguns to bar the gate.
Oh, that was a good move.
Yes, it was a good move. And I think it was Velez's shotgun.
And Son did it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I actually rated this kind of low.
Really?
I did. This was like my lowest rated episode for the entire, I loved the entire show, but this episode, there just wasn't a lot of meat to it. I mean, it was just shooting. We're done.
I really enjoyed this episode. Interesting.
I rated it a 3.25. Still lucky Lances.
I don't know. Lance isn't that lucky anymore.
We did not see him die. We saw him being chased off. And if we know anything about Lance, something stupid happened to save him.
All I know is that poor guy, he's not in that great of shape, and he's done a lot of running.
Yeah.
A lot of running.
What's the Zombieland rule number 1? Cardio.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a guy who's got a little bit dad bod going on, he's like a marathon runner. Yeah. But he's got 9 lives. I mean, every time he gets into a bind, like the jets fly over and stun the zombies and he gets away. Like he just has stupid luck.
I'm pretty convinced this is it.
Like I said, I think I said this in the first episode. If there is a season 2, I really hope that maybe he's the one crossover character, but he gets killed in the first episode.
Nice.
Your luck ran out, dude.
I think his luck ran out. Viewers, tell us what you think. Did Lance's luck run out?
Oh, that's so funny. I loved it though. But yeah, so 3.25, I did rate it kind of low on the scale, but overall, the whole series is 4.8. And on IMDb, this is actually the lowest rated episode also.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't look at the individual episode ratings.
Overall, it gets a pretty high rating, but the last 2 episodes get lower and lower. Overall, it's got a 6.4 out of 10, which I think is actually down some it's down since the last time I checked it. But so the first episode gets a 7.2, second episode gets a 7.5. The last 2 episodes are 6.9 and 6.7. So not that much lower, but definitely the lowest of the whole series.
I just really thought the whole series was really good. I mean, I know we talked about this last time. One of the things that I really loved about it was its need to not explain.
Yes. Yes.
So I feel like I agree with you. I mean, I think it's an A series all the way through. It's a 4.5 and higher all the way through for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably my least favorite episode was the one with the kids in the school.
Oh my God, that's my favorite episode.
Of course, because you like creepy kids.
Kids are awful. Okay, so if you guys hear my dogs bark a little extra, I actually caught the neighbor kids behind us teasing my dogs through the fence and throwing stuff over at them. So I had to go yell at some neighbor kids today. So yeah, me and kids, kids are awful. They're awful.
That would not sit well with me.
No, it did not sit well with me. So if if my backyard neighbors complain about how much my dogs bark, I'm going to be like, well, your kids need to quit teasing them.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I'm going to let my dogs bark all they want. And they can bite off anything that sticks their finger through a fence.
Ooh. Be careful about that. Some toddler got eaten by dogs in California or something earlier this year.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was horrible.
It was horrible, but the kid was digging under the fence. Yeah. So I don't know.
I know.
I'm just advocating for parental supervision. That's all.
Kids are creepy.
Kids are creepy. So I love what Stephen King had to say. I completely agree. Black Summer, no long fraught discussions, no endless flashbacks because there is no backstory, no grouchy teens. Dialogue is spare. Much shot with single-held camera, very fluid. Showrunners could learn a lot from this if they could work, that is. So he also liked that there were no grouchy teens.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about his reviews last time, and that one really felt like it was a direct dig at The Walking Dead.
Yeah, and Fear the Walking Dead.
True.
Got some grouchy teens in there.
Or at least we did. Well, now we've got a grouchy preteen.
Yeah.
I don't think Alicia qualifies as a teen anymore, and Chris isn't there, so...
Not anymore, but she was the original grouchy teen of the show.
Yes, she was.
Now she's practically the lone survivor. Her and Strand.
We'll see how they fare this season, huh?
Right.
We're coming up on it.
Next week.
Yeah. All
Can't
right.
wait.
So just really quickly talking about Black Summer. So you talked a little bit about some numbers. I just wanted to reiterate, I think we talked about this last time. It was the number one viewed television show on Netflix in April. It is still getting a 73%, good Lord, I can't speak tonight, a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes. And there are no real solid news lines about it having a second season. There's just all the speculation that you and I talked about when we first did the first episode for this series.
Yeah.
So there's nothing new in terms of news about Black Summer.
And, you never can tell with Netflix. Netflix is its own animal about renewing things and canceling things that people love. So, yeah, I don't know.
Part of me feels like it would be foolish of them not to cash in on it. But another part of me would be okay with them just leaving it the way that it is because it's really good.
Yeah, like a standalone, come out on top and we're done, Yeah. I would be okay either way. I would love to see a season 2, but if we don't get it, I'm not going to, bash them on Twitter or anything.
I'm there with you. I'd be okay with them leaving this one alone, although I would certainly watch if there's more.
Heck yeah.
So our title was The Stadium. I don't have anything earth-shattering to say about the title.
No, they got to the stadium.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
It was pretty straightforward. I even looked up the word stadium to see if maybe there was like some hidden meaning or some hidden root there somewhere that I could talk about, but no. No, there's really not.
No.
Our writer was John Himes, who we talked about last time. He was one of the main people with Z Nation. We had 2 staff writers that were credited, Delandra Williams and Daniel Schaefer. And then there was also credit to the fellow Z Nation creators, Carl Schaefer and Craig Engler. And I'm wondering if Daniel Schaefer and Carl Schaefer are related because they spell their names the same. I wouldn't be surprised.
Wouldn't be surprised.
So, and this was directed by John Himes, who I don't really have a lot to say about him. We talked about him quite a bit when we talked about Black Summer the first time.
We did.
I did think that there was some interesting trivia, and I felt really silly that I didn't pick up on it. So, Barbara meets a character named Ben. Ben is the guy who tries to steal her car from her.
Right.
And they are thought to be direct nods to Barbara and Ben from from Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe I didn't pick up on that.
No, I didn't either.
Which, by the way, just have to say, speaking of nods and not picking up on things and trivia and that kind of stuff, the episode that Aim for the Head released about Return of the Living Dead, oh my God, Steve knows so much trivia about Return of the Living Dead. It was amazing.
I listened to theirs and I was like, oh, I kind of wish I'd have listened to theirs before we podcast ours because I wouldn't have bothered.
We brought a different perspective.
Definitely. But if you want some cool trivia and knowledge, check out Aim for the Head's podcast on Return of the Living Dead.
Yes, it was very good and very in-depth.
I'm about halfway through the Shaun of the Dead one.
Oh, it was awesome too.
Yeah.
They are podcasting this week, or they just podcasted about Dead Set, which is apparently available on Netflix.
Yes. It's we had talked about this before. It's set on the set of
your favorite show,
Big Brother UK. Yes. So, and it's a cool show for its kind of fresh take, and not to kind of bring a downer to it. The house, there were people in the house. I can't remember if it was Celebrity Big Brother UK or Big Brother UK, but there were people in the house during 9/11, and it was one of the only times that they have let the house members actually watch like live TV of what was going on and everything. Just because, could you imagine getting out of the house and finding out that had happened?
Right.
And plus the entire state of the world was in such flux. You know, you had no idea if they were going to have to like send everyone home and cancel the show for a month or whatever. So, it was kind of interesting that you know, cause you're in the house and you have no idea what's going on in the outside world. Imagine if the zombie apocalypse broke out, you would have no idea. And like all of a sudden, all of the producers and directors and showrunners and everything just stop contacting the house, and you know, stuff just starts to break down. And yeah, it's a really interesting take on the zombie apocalypse and Big Brother.
If I can pry myself away from Game of Thrones, I might watch it. But I think with Fear coming up and Good Omens coming up, and now me being deeply entrenched in a Game of Thrones viewing, I think that it's going to take a back seat.
And you just bought Buffy and Angel on DVD.
Right, which I am way behind on watching those. I know that Phil and Lilith are talking about podcasting Angel, and I just haven't. I'm so behind. Only like, you know, 15, 20 years behind. But
oh, that's funny.
So we decided to talk about Velez as our featured cast member.
We did.
And I thought it was cool. His name is actually Velez. Sal Velez is his name. Sal Velez Jr.
Yes, and he plays William Velez in Black Summer. And spoiler alert, he dies.
Oh, God.
Rather shockingly.
Very shockingly.
We will get into that. I love it. Oh, but Sal Velez is one of those people that's been in a whole bunch of stuff that I have seen, but he's also in a lot of the stuff that I've seen, he's actually uncredited.
Oh,
so
really?
I thought that there's a lot. If you go through his IMDb profile, he'll play just a minor character, and it's actually it even says uncredited. But he's been in 2 Walking Dead things.
So he had a part on one of Telltale's games called The Walking Dead Michonne.
Yep.
And he did some voice work in that.
And then also in another video game, The Walking Dead 400 Days.
Which I would highly recommend. This is a totally off-topic thing again. We're just going to be off-topic tonight.
Well, our show that we podcasted about was only 17 minutes.
Right. So Walking Dead Cast, which is a Walking Dead podcast that I really like, just recently had an interview with Melissa Hutchinson, who is one of the main characters in Telltale's Walking Dead games. And it was really, really, really a fun listen. So if you're a fan of that game series, I highly recommend checking it out. It was a couple of episodes ago.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's not been in a Law and Order. Wah, wah.
But he has been in several episodes of NCIS.
Yes, I think just about every iteration of NCIS.
I think you're right.
Chicago PD, Young and Restless, Ray Donovan. That's a good series. That's one I need to watch. Let's see. What else? Hand of God, which it was actually, I really, really enjoyed season 1. It's also a Netflix series. So
Amazon series.
Oh, is it an Amazon?
Yeah.
You're right, it is.
I've watched a little bit of it. I haven't watched the whole thing, but what little bit I watched was quite good. It has Ron Perlman in it, right?
It does,
yeah.
Yes. Like I said, season 1 was good. Season 2 kind of went off the rails. So, which is why I'm okay with Black Summer maybe just having this one season, because we know more and more seasons you go further and further off the rails.
Right. Sometimes you just don't want to tamper with near perfection.
Right. And, this is a prequel to Z Nation. So I was never a fan of Z Nation. So, eventually we get to Z Nation and I just don't want to get there. So.
I was going to say, I have to say, I was thinking about it today and I thought, oh, maybe I'll have to try. And then I thought, no. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil Black Summer for yourself. Don't go back and try to watch Z Nation. Just leave it alone.
Yeah, it just looks weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's got some things in post-production. A movie or show, I think it's a movie called Lineage.
They were all 3 movies. I looked all 3 of them up.
Okay. And then Torrance is actually with Ben Affleck. So that'll be out soon. That's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. No idea what it's about, but Brooklyn All-American. Let's see. A beautiful, powerful, and innocent young man from a devout Orthodox family in Brooklyn achieves unintentional greatness in the most unlikely area of all, Division I Deep South college football. It has Chris Noth in it.
Oh, Mr. Big.
Yes, Mr. Big.
AKA, God, I can't remember what his detective's name was, but he was in Law and Order way back in the day.
He was also in Good Wife.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's got Chris Noth and Christopher McDonald. And, gosh, a lot of people don't know the name, but you will definitely know the guy. He was in like Thelma and Louise, Happy Gilmore. He was also in The Good Wife. Yeah, so he's kind of a bigger known actor. So I really think that Black Summer was a good jumping off point for not the start of Sal Velez's career, but it's definitely picking up.
So he had a couple of interviews that I watched, and he has done quite a bit of work. I was actually really surprised. And I liked him. He was very interesting to listen to. He was very funny. He was very engaging. So I'm kind of surprised that we haven't really heard of him before now.
Yeah, and like I said, there's a ton of stuff that he's been in that I've seen, but he plays a lot of minor roles, like the show The Mayans, which is based off of the Sons of Anarchy series.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was in one episode, and I'm just like, he's such a great actor. I can't imagine him, having a more reoccurring character than that. So. But yeah, he's been working since 2004, so 15 years, and looks like Black Summer was a very good choice for him, even though he didn't survive.
His start was very interesting. So he got a scholarship from Chicago's Second City, which is well known for spawning various great comedians. People like Alan Arkin, Joan Rivers, a bunch of people from SNL.
Wow.
Yeah. So he actually had a 3-year scholarship with them. And then it sounds like he toured with them for several years as well. And then moved to LA in 2007 to pursue his film and TV career full time.
Yeah, there's not much about him on IMDb.
He did say, like I said, I listened to those couple of interviews. They were just very short, but he did say that his first big break that he remembers was working with Kelsey Grammer on a Starz show called Boss.
Oh, I did see that in his credits.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recognize it though.
It sounds like maybe Gus Van Sant was a director on at least part of the series as well, which Gus Van Sant we know from Good Will Hunting, as well as many other things, but he was kind of talking about that. I noticed that he's got a writer and director credit for a new series that's in pre-production.
Oh, I didn't even go to writer.
I was just curious to know what other stuff he had going on. So he has written and directed an episode for this series called Coffee with Kelly, which I didn't go much deeper than that. He's got a couple of stunt credits, which I thought was really interesting. So he's done quite a bit.
Yeah, he has. Like I said, there's not a lot about him on IMDb, so hopefully that will change. Now that he's a little bigger. And, I didn't even check his social media.
I did, only because he mentioned it in his interviews that I watched. And he is at Sal Velez Jr. on Instagram. And it sounds like Instagram is where he's the most active.
Oh, yeah. He's got Instagram and Facebook. Wow, he looks young.
Yeah, he does. He looks a lot younger than Velez did in the series.
Yeah.
He's actually 3 years younger than I am.
Oh my goodness. I would not have guessed that.
It's because I've aged so well.
Oh,
Let's see, what
aging.
else about him? He was born in Chicago. He is second generation Puerto Rican, and he lived in Houston, Texas until he was 14 when he moved back to Chicago to spend time with his dad. And he was a full-time worker in the Steelworkers Union in Chicago until he was discovered by Chicago's Second City and asked to audition.
Wow.
So he's got a real blue-collar background.
He's got some nice ink, too.
Oh, I missed that. Is that on his Instagram or on his Facebook
It is.
page?
There's one picture, and you can see a few of the stuff on his arms. It looks like he's got a Grim Reaper on one arm. You can't totally see it. So, Sal Velez, if you're listening, we want more pictures of your ink on your Instagram. No, really, I just want shirtless pictures of you.
That would be okay. Yeah, no, Velez is a nice looking guy.
He is. Wow. Yeah, I didn't expect him to be that young, considering his character. I love his first words on the show.
I can't remember what his first words were.
So when he gets in the car and he drives away with Son and Barbara, his first words are, "I'm not going to rape you."
Oh.
Right after the encounter with Ben, who was horrible.
Hence the reason he never got a role on Game of Thrones. Because you can't introduce your character in Game of Thrones by saying that.
I'm not going to rape you. Which is always like so comforting to hear when some guy is like driving your car and you're stuck in it.
Right?
Like, sure. Oh, yeah. So there's not much out there about Sal Velez, but he is going to come up in some bigger things. So there might be some good things ahead for him.
Let's hope so. I enjoyed him very, very much in this series.
I did too. I enjoyed all of the main characters.
I did too.
Like even the awful ones.
What else did I want to say? He did say, which I thought was really interesting. So they filmed this in 3 months, which when you think about it, it boils down to 4 hours of television, and it took them 3 months to film it. That's pretty cool.
Well, I actually feel like that's a long time to film.
And he did say, how long did he say it was in pre-production? I think he said it was in pre-production for about a year and in post for about 8 months. So Netflix really invested quite a bit of time in it.
Yeah. And, I didn't really see anything about it until it came out. There was no, this is coming, or there was no like teaser trailers that I saw or anything. It was just boom. It's on my Netflix front page.
That's kind of the way I felt too. I felt like it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. There's actually Netflix is really good, but really bad about that, where, I can't anticipate anything. All of a sudden it's just there. I mean, there's one on now. I think it's called What If. I was just watching the trailer for it this morning, and I was like, that looks really good.
I do want to say, because we talked about her as our featured cast when we talked about 28 Days Later, Naomi Harris. So a friend of mine was watching Moonlight and posted that she just thought it was a phenomenal movie, and I need to get off my butt and watch that movie.
Oh, yeah.
And that's on Netflix. That's what made me think of it.
Yeah. Netflix is kind of earning its keep.
They're trying to, even though they're getting rid of the Disney characters, Disney/Marvel characters.
Yeah. And upping their price.
Ugh. Don't even get me started. I just paid $30 for season 2 of Game of Thrones. Don't even get me started.
It's so worth it, though.
It is. It is. I feel bad. This should be our Game of Thrones podcast tonight.
Like I said, the show we are podcasting about was 17 minutes, and I think we've already been talking longer than that.
Yes, we have. So I will talk a little bit about Whisperer's Corner, and then we can talk about Black Summer, which we probably won't talk about, at least we'll probably talk for another hour anyway.
Right.
So there was not tons for Whisperer's Corner. I did want to remind people that Fear premieres on Sunday, so it premieres on June 2nd. Courtesy of Phil, we did get an article from Entertainment Weekly today that he emailed to us where they preview Dwight's crossover.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a really good picture of Dwight kind of walking down a deserted road carrying an axe.
An axe.
Yeah,
Yep.
looked really good. The thing that I was a little bit horrified by in the article is they talk about, quote, pretty extreme measures to do their missions. And they say that one of them might involve a plane. So I'm a little horrified by that because I just feel like...
Did you watch the teaser trailer?
I did not watch the teaser trailer.
Okay, so I watched the teaser trailer on Twitter, and Morgan is with Alicia, and they are talking about the landing site. So, yeah.
Okay, yep. We have jumped far enough ahead that I think airplane fuel is not really a thing. But
yeah.
Okay.
Jet fuel doesn't age like we do, you know? It doesn't age like fine wine like the women in our family.
Right.
It ages like milk.
So I'm a little bit about that, and I'm hoping that they don't take us off the rails this season. I'm hoping we have a good season.
Yeah.
Whiskey Cavalier, I think we mentioned this last time, is officially canceled.
Yep.
So I feel bad for Lauren Cohan, but I hope that means good things for Walking Dead.
Yep, and we mentioned that it definitely was not her that got it canceled because It was just, you could have thrown anyone in the two main characters and it would have been just not good.
It just wasn't a great series.
No, it didn't resonate.
I shouldn't say that. I didn't watch the whole series. The one that I watched did not do anything for me.
I think I watched like 2.5, and like after the half, I was just like, no, I've seen this before. Like It's the same formula as every other kind of male female cop show that's got some humor. I mean, we saw it with Bones and God, NCIS and Law and Order. Law and Order is a little more serious, but
it kind of made me think NCIS, and I was like, if I want to watch NCIS, I'll just watch NCIS.
Yeah, it made me think of Bones, which I'm a total fan of, but it was just like, I've seen this. This has been done. Whereas when they have zombie shows like Black Summer, you're like, this hasn't been done before. This is amazing.
So speaking of hasn't been done before and maybe amazing, I'm not sure. I have kind of mixed feelings about it too, but the new series on AMC, Nosferatu, premieres this week also.
Okay, we were just talking about this, and I'm very on the fence about it. I'm like, I got so much else to watch and read.
NOS, the number 4, the letter A, and the number 2, Nosferatu.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, again, I'm kind of binging on TV I should have watched 10 years ago, so so I don't know that I'll watch Nosferatu, and we're going to be really busy with Fear and Good Omens, but that's coming on AMC this week as well.
Yeah.
There was an article on comicbookreader.com that had some snippets from Tom Paine, and apparently he's been lamenting what could have happened with him and with Jesus and Aaron.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Mm-hmm. And Ross Marquand and Tom Paine both have confirmed that they think that Jesus and Aaron did hook up in the 6-year time jump.
See?
Yeah.
I told you.
I think we mentioned this the last time we talked about Tom Paine, but he has a crime drama called Prodigal Son that got picked up by Fox.
Oh.
So he's got a new series coming out.
I don't remember talking about that.
I think we mentioned it. And then on the same page, I read at comicbookreader.com that there's a rumor that David Morrissey is possibly going to get a role down the road in some of Marvel's stuff.
Huh.
So they were talking about phase 3 and phase 4 of their kind of Marvel rollout. I'm assuming with Disney Plus or maybe in the Marvel universe cinematically, but they're talking about David Morrissey potentially for a role. And then I found some clickbait on metro.co.uk, and it was basically what we know about season 10. And then it was pretty much nothing. So the only thing that I really found that we kind of wouldn't have known is that it sounds like there's going to be a couple season time jump in season 10.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah.
I think the time jumps make it easier when you have to like recast younger characters. You know, we didn't have to see baby Judith get raised up. All of a sudden we went from toddler to 10-year-old.
Right.
And so you can actually switch people out a little easier. And, you know, a lot of the people that have been on the show from the beginning, they've been on the show for 8 years now. And
10 years now.
Yeah, I can see them wanting to move on and do other things or break out or just take a break. So I get it.
The only other thing that I kind of gleaned from these articles that I thought might be interesting is that they suggested that with the time jump, it's going to make it easier to introduce Rosita's baby.
Ah. So we know that Rosita's going to survive to have her baby.
Well, not really, because it was nothing that was confirmed. It was more speculation in the article.
Okay.
So it was clickbaity stuff. It wasn't really good, solid, confirmed. We know this is happening in season 10.
I just heard so many people who was like, oh, Rosita's going to die. Rosita's going to die. You know, her head's going to be on the spike. And it's like, no, she's pregnant. Like, I know that we are horrible to children in the zombie apocalypse, which I'm totally fine with. But I can't see them killing a pregnant Rosita.
Well, in the comic book, she is pregnant when she dies.
Yeah, it's the comic books.
Yeah.
How far off the comic books are we now?
Very.
Right?
So that's all I've really got for Whisperer's Corner. It's not real busy.
Nope, not yet.
It'll be interesting to see if it picks up when Fear kicks back into season.
I think probably when we go to start filming Walking Dead Prime.
They are filming Walking Dead Prime.
Are they?
Yeah. In fact, there was a super funny article that I saw a couple of days ago, and Diana just shared it on Aim for the Heads page. There was a couple that went to Sonoy for their prom pictures, and they got photobombed by a bunch of zombie extras.
That's so cool.
Isn't that awesome?
Oh, a reason to go to prom.
Well, should we talk about our good, bad, and ugly for season 1, episode 8 of Black Summer?
Sure.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I want you to go first because I think our stuff might be similar.
I don't think you'll have this one. So my good was actually Carmen's turning.
Oh, yeah.
So I loved it. And the reason that I loved it was that it happened completely silently. She had no words.
Nope.
And she just kind of gestures at the gunshot and then she turns. I mean, it happens like that.
And it was such an organic scene. It wasn't that and a zombie attacked her or that it was just an accident in the melee.
Yes.
I mean, the woman was shooting and a zombie picked her up and she continued to shoot and it panned over and she hit Carmen. And we didn't know because Carmen, you know, everyone was shooting back and Carmen, we didn't know she was hit until everyone started running and she doesn't run and everyone stops and looks at her and then she vomits blood.
Well, she kind of gestures at the wound.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it maybe is 30 seconds.
Yeah. It really reminded me, and the whole series, 28 Days Later, where you have one breath, you know, and you turn.
So I loved that. I loved that they did that. I loved the way that she turned. And there's actually a point later on in this episode where she inadvertently saves Lance. Zombie Carmen does.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dumb luck. God.
And so just speaking of Zombie Carmen, I just loved seeing her running after all of these people and attacking all of these people. I thought it was, again, really organic. It was easy to see that transition. And I think I watched it today and I thought that actress must have had so much fun doing that.
Yes. Because you just run around going, ah!
Yeah. Yeah.
One, it has to be super fun, and then it has to be at the same time really exhausting.
And somewhat cathartic as well.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. I would get the giggles. I would totally ruin the takes because, yeah, I would totally get the giggles.
That's why it took 3 months instead of 3 weeks to film 4 hours.
Yeah, I noticed that too. We didn't quite see it from her perspective. It wasn't first person, but we did follow her from area to area through the shots, and I like that kind of the way that they use that as sort of a transitional from here to here.
Yes.
Yeah.
They did a lot of that with this particular episode, and I really enjoyed that.
And during this episode, I noticed there was one scene where it was really, really shaky hand cam. Mm-hmm. And on the one hand, I'm like, okay, enough. I got it. I'm seasick. But on the other hand, I was like, this is really like a journalist, in wartime footage.
Are you talking about the scene where they're running through toward the end, toward where Velez gets shot?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the one hand, I'm like, okay, I got it. Like I had to close my eyes because it was just a little too much emotion for me. But on the other hand, it was so, it wasn't polished. It was very realistic.
So the thing that I wrote about that was that it was like watching a video game.
Yes. And them shooting and going around the barriers and having to shoot like 2 zombies at a time. I thought video game at that moment too.
It was really good.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so, what was your good?
My good was also a death. My good was Velez's death.
Okay.
So we had alluded to this when we podcasted the first episode.
No, we didn't allude. We spoiled it. But
we didn't say who it was. We said that Rose shoots somebody.
No, I think we did. I think we spoiled it.
Oh, we might have.
Yeah.
We might have given a warning.
Pretty sure we did.
But when I went back and I rewatched it, on the one hand you can't believe that Rose does that, but on the other hand, it's totally plausible because one, he was slowing down the group, and I would want you to do that to me rather than leave me behind to get torn apart by zombies. Like you're either gonna get the group killed or you're going to die swiftly. I will die swiftly.
It really was that mixed moment where I felt like some of it was selfishness on Rose's part and some of it was mercy.
Yeah. And when I went back and watched, she was genuinely horrified at her actions. Like before she did it, she just had this just horrified look on her face. And she was like, I gotta. And she shoots him. And even when she's doing it, she can't believe she's doing it. And then boom, we move on, So I said it in the first episode. I loved the evolution that Rose went through in that, she was just not the type of person that would do that in the beginning. And by the end, she was, a completely different soldier. And I really did not want Velez to die, but it was so shocking that it was good. I mean, you didn't expect it, you didn't want it, but it happened and you're like, I can still be surprised.
Yeah, it was a really good moment in the series.
Yeah.
I mean, I think of all of the moments, it was probably, and I think I said this last time, the most shocking for me.
Yeah. And of the characters that were left at that point, I wouldn't want any of them to go. I loved them all. So, except Lance.
Poor Lance. I still don't think of him as being left at that point. I think he's toast.
He was just running for, I'm like, no, he's going to have some sort of dumb luck. He's going to survive. He's going to crawl under a dumpster with Glenn. Oh, so what was your bad?
Well, so my bad was I'm still not sure that I totally understand the rules in this zombie apocalypse. And what I mean by that is that I didn't have a good sense of how you put these zombies down. I felt like the run up to the stadium where they're doing the chaotic shoot. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a really good sense of how you put them down. I mean, I felt like sometimes they put them down by loading their bodies full of bullets. Sometimes they put them down by shooting them in the head. So I just didn't feel like there were consistent rules.
Yeah, I can see that. And I'm also unclear as to whether these are this is more of an infection type zombie. So I believe that it's possible that maybe if you wound the body enough that they'll go down, but yeah, I still think we should just stick to the headshots.
It would have been nice if there had been some consistency. I just didn't feel like there was consistency. But, again, that's kind of a small gripe in the scheme of being really happy that they didn't take time to explain a lot.
Right. Right. The no explanations that we like. Um but yeah, and the other thing that I liked about them is it is super hard to hit a moving target. As someone who goes shooting um, fairly often, I have this little target ball, and it's got these it's made of this stuff that you can shoot over and over again. It's like a self-healing rubber. And whenever you shoot it, it bounces in a different way. You can never predict where it's going to bounce to, and just consistently hit it when it's gone in a different direction is really, really hard. I can hardly ever do it. Or if anyone's ever been skeet shooting, it's really hard to hit a moving target. So to hit someone in the head in this chaos when you've probably never handled a weapon in your life, I kind of like that not everyone got a headshot.
Yeah, I do think that their inability to really manage their shooting well is much more realistic.
Yeah, yeah. And so in that situation, you want to go with a burst shot, the three burst shot instead of the single trigger pull.
So what was your bad?
The happy-ish ending.
Mm.
Oh, I actually, and it's not because kids, but I didn't want her to get her daughter back. I didn't want a happy ending. When we got to the stadium and it was completely empty and it didn't look like, a FEMA war zone in the middle of the field where it was all still pristine and there was no one there, I was like, oh, yes, no one made it to the stadium. Everyone's dead. And then, the dude walks out and her daughter walks out, and, just them. It wasn't 30 people came out and her daughter happened to be there. It was, some dude and then her daughter. And I was like, oh.
So your bad is kind of my ugly. And I'm going to take a page from your book and say I'm not really sure if it's a good ugly or a bad ugly because I want to talk about Rose's daughter.
Okay.
So
we're there.
I am not really sure she would be there either. I have really mixed feelings about her being one of the last people left at the stadium.
Yeah.
But I did really love that visual of her coming out of that open doorway, surrounded by all of those empty, pristine bleacher seats.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really cool filming and a really cool visual effect.
I liked that she had a gun.
Right. Well, I was going to say, so I thought initially that maybe Rose was hallucinating her
again. Yep, I did too.
And the only thing that made me really believe that Rose was not hallucinating her was that she walked down the stairs with a pistol.
Right. And so I'm kind of thinking that maybe season 2, since we've seen that our first episode was the beginning in everybody's eyes, maybe next season 2 is going to be the whole thing that Rose's daughter went through.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, so we see the beginning over again from Rose's daughter's perspective, and then we get taken through what she went through to get to the stadium and what happens in the stadium and around the stadium.
You get on that with John Himes.
Yeah, I would totally get on that.
The other thing that I wanted to say is we don't actually see them embrace. We just see the daughter running towards her.
Right.
Which I thought was a nice touch, because if you're going to have the happy ending, at least we didn't have a totally mushy happy ending.
Yeah, I guess. I just, and maybe it's because, it's Netflix and Black Summer sounds like Black Mirror, that I'm just no happy endings at all, ever. We're done with happy endings.
Well, we just went through hell and had one of our favorite characters get shot. I would have been okay with no happy ending.
Because hopefully it's not a true ending. Hopefully we get a little bit more. Maybe.
Yeah, again, it'll be interesting to see where Netflix takes it.
Yeah. So my ugly was also, and not good or bad, I am confused about the fighter jets. Um, so one, where were they coming from? We still have a working infrastructure that we can deploy fighter jets.
Right.
Two, why were they buzzing the city like that? And three, was it stunning the zombies? Because it was stunning the humans, and it seemed like there was a couple scenes where I think Sun was about to be attacked, and then there was a scene where Lance was about to be attacked, and the jets flew by, and it stunned them, and the zombies were no longer on their tail. So was that the purpose? Were they trying to I don't know, stun the zombies, I was very confused about the fighter jets buzzing the city.
I don't have great things to add to that. I mean, I guess I didn't really think it through. I don't think they were trying to stun the zombies. I think that was a
Nice side effect.
nice side effect. Yes, I think it implies that there's still some sort of working military infrastructure. What were they doing? I don't know. I don't know why they were buzzing the city like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, if any of the listeners have any feedback or theories on that, I would be really curious because I could not come up with anything.
Did you Google to see if anybody had any theories out there?
I didn't, actually.
I'm just curious.
Let's see. It'll also probably tell me what kind of jets. I'm sure some military nerd out there put it online that they were a certain type of jet. Let's see. Black Summer. I almost put in Black Dumber. All right. What does Google say? Take it out of news.
The Google may not say anything.
Yeah, no. Nope.
Well, I would be interested in hearing other people's theories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any rotting potpourri?
I loved where we got to with the characters, and especially Sun. I don't know if we talked about this previously. I think we did, because we never know what she says. She doesn't speak English, and we don't get subtitles.
Mm-hmm.
But I love just sort of her grim determination at the end. I would love to have a little bit more of her backstory, but again, even if we don't, I'm totally cool with the mystery. But if you watch her through the last episode, there's a scene where she accidentally shoots somebody, like what happened to Carmen. She's shooting a zombie that goes by, and she accidentally shoots a guy behind the zombie. And, you know, he kind of does almost the same thing that Carmen does, where he kind of looks down at his wound and looks up at her. And she's just like, oh, crap. Like, I can't believe I just shot somebody. And then she's like, gotta put him down, and just shoots him in the head.
I actually wrote that down. I was really, really glad that she finished him off.
Yeah. And, you know, her through the scene when Velez got shot, you know, she was completely shocked by it, but it was like, boom, moving on, you know, and then putting the shotgun at the gate. She kind of had a moment where she looked back and she's like, I can't believe I made it through that, you know, but just, I think she was a great character. And, one of my favorite scenes with her actually didn't happen in this episode, but it was the episode where she was going through the air duct.
That was so good.
I thought she was a goner. Like I like at some point I was just like, just give up, just let it happen. Like I loved it. So Sun was also a great character, and you know, it kind of reminded me of the couple on Lost that didn't speak English.
I'm not a Lost person, and I'm not going to go back and watch that. I tried.
Okay, I will tell you. I think I get to about season 4 with Lost, and it loses me. And I've restarted it 3 times and I can't get all the way through it. I haven't, and I've managed to stay away from spoilers. I have no idea how it ends. So you could spoil it on the Facebook page, but because like I'm not actively avoiding. I mean, I'm not Googling it or anything, but I guess I wasn't really that onto social media at that point. But yeah, but it reminded me there was 2 characters on the plane crash that didn't. Well, the husband didn't speak English, and he didn't know that his wife spoke English.
Oh,
but
how
she
interesting!
Did.
Oh,
but
that's very interesting.
She had to pretend that she didn't speak English for a while. But so that's just something so true to life that you're not going to get somebody. We had a deaf character in this show. You're not going to get everybody who can communicate with you. At the drop of a hat. So
I was really happy with the characters who survived. I mean, I knew Rose was going to make it. I was really happy that Spears and Son were on the survivor side of things.
Yeah. And again, I love the mystery that surrounded like Spears and Son and Lucky Lance. Yeah, I like not knowing their backstory, but I'm also super curious about their backstory. So
I don't know that they're going to give us backstory.
No, and I'm okay if they don't, but yeah.
So I'm still not sure that I totally buy Rose going from suburban housewife to gun-toting, AR-toting mama.
Yeah, she got over the death of her husband real quick.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see where that character would have had such a comfort with guns.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that kind of took me out a little bit when we first open up in this episode, is we got everybody kind of converging on the stadium, and it shows our group of survivors basically coming into this opening as an armed group, and they all just look so fierce with their weapons. And I thought, I'm not sure that everyone in that group would have been that comfortable with weaponry.
Yeah, no. I feel the same way. Like I said, as someone who's done quite a bit of shooting, even I'm not completely comfortable with a weapon that I have never shot before. Everything has a different safety, and everything has a different trigger pull, and everything, one of my we were just talking about this the other day. One of my guns, to take it apart to clean it, it's a trigger pull to get the slide off. And it's just really counterintuitive to pull the trigger on a gun when you don't intend to fire it. When you're trying to get the slide out, it's a very weird mechanism. And so, even handling a gun that I've handled, I've handled AR-15s and things like that before, because we have military in our family who love guns, and I've shot with those before, and it's been a really long time. So picking one up again, like, my palms would be a little bit sweaty. I'd have the correct fear and reverence of a firearm that I should. But yeah, to be a suburban housewife, or whatever,
or to be son, right?
Yeah, whatever Son was. I can't imagine that they would have been that comfortable with guns that quickly.
Or to be Lance.
Yeah, Lance. Oh, he did have a gun.
Yeah, he had an automatic weapon as well.
Yeah. Velez had a shotgun.
Yeah, I could have bought Velez's comfort with his gun. I could have bought Spears' comfort with his gun, but that's about it. Yep.
And then Carmen and her boyfriend.
Yeah, that's true. Carmen and Manny. Yeah. One of the other gripes that I had is I still really, we watched it. We just happened to have our closed captioning on. But I felt like if I had not had the closed captioning, I would have missed so much dialogue.
Oh, now I need to go watch it with closed caption.
I'm not sure how important it would have been, because I think it would have gotten us to the same place. I don't know that a lot of the dialogue was very important. But
that's what I loved about the show, is there wasn't a lot of filler. I mean, we say that there wasn't a lot of backstory, which could be construed as filler, but there just wasn't a lot of fluff. It was straightforward. We need to get from point A to point B, and we need to not die, before we get there.
Yeah, it was very stripped down.
Yeah. That's why the last episode was 17 minutes long.
I did like the whole thing of people like accidentally being shot and people dropping things and just the chaos of everybody converging on the stadium. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, people were running in all directions.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just a forward movement of, our pseudo soldiers upon the zombie horde. It was, in all directions at once.
It was
Yeah,
good.
it was very good. It was my lowest rated episode, but I still loved it.
Not sure that I have anything else. Yeah, I don't really have anything else.
Yeah, I don't either. It was only 17 minutes long, and like I said, it started out with our convergence on the stadium, and we got through the zombie horde, and it ended inside the stadium. It was a pretty cut and dry episode, just very shoot 'em up, not a lot of dialogue.
But good. Stripped to the bones and good.
Yep. But yeah, I think it would be really cool to get Rose's daughter's perspective next season.
I like that idea. I think that would be very interesting.
Because one of the things that I loved about this show is the first episode where we got the beginning 5 minutes from just about everyone's perspective.
The way that
over
they
and over.
layered it over and over. Yeah, I really like that
and
as well.
You could point out the other characters in the background when you were on somebody else's timeline, Yeah.
Which was, and you didn't necessarily totally get that the first watch. I mean, it was the second time through. I was like, oh my gosh, there's Sun. Oh my gosh, this is telling this from so-and-so's point of view.
I noticed the two characters, the one chick that got hit by the car.
Yes.
When I noticed
because that was a really obvious moment in time.
Yeah, when I noticed her in the background, I was like, okay, like we're repeating it from other people's perspectives. And then we kept coming across that one burning car. I'm like, why is it just one car on fire when there doesn't seem to be any other sort of chaos and like nobody else's car is on fire. Like so that was just sort of a point that we kept coming back to that was easily recognizable. Mm-hmm. So. And I loved that was just a one-off. They didn't continue to do that every episode. It was just that first episode, and we didn't have to see it again. It was that shtick was done, and it was done very well.
I agree. It was a really cool strategy for introducing us to the story.
Yeah. God, couple of other scenes in the entire series. When Carmen stabs the guy while they're dancing.
Yeah.
Do we know why she stabbed him?
I don't know if they just started that zombie melee for distraction.
I feel like it was something against him in particular, because I think the title of that little chapter was Not According to Plan or something like that.
Oh, huh.
Yeah. So I don't think that they were supposed to quite start the outbreak like that. The lights were just supposed to go out. But yeah, she just dancing with the guy and just whoop, right up through his jugular. And of course, nobody noticed because it was all stroby and the music and everything. And one breath and the guy turns and all of a sudden it's chaos. Yeah, I like the fast infections.
I have to say that it probably was not my favorite, like in 28 Days Later, but I really thought it was a great tool in this particular series. I don't know that it would play well in The Walking Dead because The Walking Dead is just so much more drawn out and about the drama.
Yeah.
I don't know that the fast zombies would work there, but they're really an amazing tool in this series.
Yeah, and the slow zombies and the slow infection does have its place because, in some place like The Walking Dead, someone in the group can hide a bite and, go on to wreak havoc, hours, if not days later when everyone falls asleep. And then you have the whole, don't be a jerk and hide your bite.
Right.
But I loved it in 28 Days Later when the guy was telling the story about how one person in the sea of people got infected and it just spread like wildfire throughout, and it was utter chaos, and you couldn't tell who was infected and who wasn't because everyone was running and screaming, and yeah, very good.
So we still, after a month and a half, and a couple of odd viewings, still think this is a great series.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it is less than 4 hours long. I will probably go back and watch it a third time.
We watched it last weekend with our niece and got her hooked.
Hooked for a whole 4 hours.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Definitely one to recommend to fans of the zombie genre, or people who like action. It was definitely an action show.
I have mentioned it to several people.
Yeah, I have a lot of people that I work with that are like, "Oh, I don't like zombies. Zombies scare me." I'm like, well,
they should.
It's good. They should, and it's good to be scared sometimes.
Yes.
Well, that's all that I had for Black Summer.
Well, so the next time people hear from us will probably be about Fear. I'm not sure how we're going to look at recording Fear and Good Omens since they're coming out at the same time, but we said we would do it, and I do want to do it. So.
Yeah. So Good Omens might wind up a little bit like Preacher. We're a little bit behind on that.
But it will be on this podcast.
Because Walking Dead is our bread and butter.
And we get paid so much. Oh, I did want to say before we close that the Sonoya Dead Bash happened this weekend, and I saw some things that Thomas O'Mara was tagged in, and they looked like a lot of fun.
Yes.
And he sent me some video of Tommy Turvey and his horses, which was very cool.
I am so jealous of his picture with Lauren Ridloff.
Mm-hmm. He said she was lovely.
Yeah. And then I can't find it. I'll try and find it really quick. It was if you go to the Sonoya Dead Bash Facebook page, Sonoya Dead Bash's Facebook page, and you go to the visitors posts, there are some cool videos with some cosplayers, and the Cecile Garner, aka Cecile Grimes. I think that's the guy who is playing Rick Grimes cosplaying.
Yeah.
That looks amazing. And then Gene Russell is an amazing looking Negan. There's a video with him. So I recommend going to the Sonoya Dead Bash's page, visitors posts, and looking at some of the pictures and watching some of the videos. It's pretty cool. Looks like it was a grand success, and I really hope that Thomas O'Mara was very successful in it and continues to keep it up.
Yeah.
Because maybe we'll make it someday.
Oh, God. Someday. I'm about ready to get out of Alaska. It would be good time.
After Diane finishes all of her Game of Thrones and all of her Buffy and all of her Angel, then she can go to the ball.
Oh my God. It's going to be a few years for Cinderella then.
Oh.
Speaking of which, I'm going to go back and watch another episode before bed. So that's where I'm headed, is to finish season 2, episode 2 of Game of Thrones.
Oh man, people, can you imagine? She hasn't even seen like the Red Wedding, or
I've heard about the Red Wedding. I have not seen it.
I got a meme I gotta send you when you watch the episode. I just have memes saved to my phone that I'm like, you gotta watch the episode so I can send it to you. Because I have another friend who didn't watch season 8 until it was done. So like, I was just like, dude, I'm gonna have to go back and find all of this stuff so I can send it to you.
That's funny.
Well, right. Happy Memorial Day.
Yeah, happy Memorial Day, everybody. Brian, thank you for your service. Anybody else out there who has served, thank you.
And it is not 4th of July, like I said last episode. I skipped the entire month of June and went straight to 4th of July.
Yeah, I'm not quite ready for the summer to be gone yet. It's just starting.
No, June is winding down for our fiscal year and trying to get set up for the start of the new fiscal year in July. So for everyone who's in government accounting, it's kind of a chaotic time for us. So that's why I put June out of my mind. At least that's my story. It had nothing to do with the wine or the THC edibles.
Oh my God, you're so funny.
All right, everyone. Have a good weekend. We will talk to you when beer comes back.
That sounds
good. But until then, just remember, take it one dead day at a time. Nicely done.
All right, everybody. Bye.
Bye.